Welcome back to the Arbitrary YouTube channel. In today's class I'm going to be learning how to make this beautiful blouse that we see here. So it has this beautiful notched collar like we see, and then the collar is continuous as you have seen all the way to whatever length that you want. It also has this beautiful turn-up sleeve that we have here, and it's a kimono blouse. It's very simple to make and it's beginner friendly. This is something you would like to learn. Kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so this is a kimono blouse. So I'm going to be having the sleeve extension cut together with the main bodies. You can actually cut this to get on your fabric directly, but I'm using a patterned fabric, so I'll be cutting on the paper so that we can see what I'm doing very well. So I'm going to start with my shoulder measurement. The shoulder I'm working with is 16 inches divided by 2 is 8, so I have 8 inches here. I hope you can see it. So my HT stops there. The next thing now is to measure the sleeve extension. So I want the sleeve a little bit down. If you don't want it too much, you can just leave it at 3 inches, but I'm going to be adding about 5 inches to my sleeve, and then I'm going to be making a turn up on the sleeve opening. So you can cut your turn up separately, but I want to cut mine together, so I'm going to add around 2 inches for my turn up as well. So that's the measurement that I have for the shoulder area, and then from there I'm going to take my armhole measurement. So my armhole is actually 9 inches, but because this is not going to be having like a regular armhole and I want it a little bit free, so I'm going to add about 1 inch to that, and I'm going to leave it at 10 inches. We can just make it 10.5 inches, but 10 inches is fine for me. And then from there I'm just going to take my blouse length measurement. So my blouse length is 25 inches, so I'm going to mark that, and then I'll make all of that into a straight line. Okay, so on my armhole line I'm going to take my bust measurement. The bust is 44, divided by 4 is 11, so I have 11 inches here. Because this is a free blouse, I'm going to add about half an inch east to that. You can also add 1 inch, but half inch is okay. And then I'm going to add 1 inch seam allowance. So the measurement that I have here, which is 12.5 inches, I'm going to take it down. I'm going to take it down to my blouse length here, and then I'm going to mark that exact measurement. So after marking it, I'm going to take my ruler and then I'm going to connect it. So the next thing is to work on the sleeve. So for the sleeve I have a total of 15 inches on the shoulder area. Okay, I have a total of 15 inches on the shoulder area. So on this chest line I'm going to mark that 15 inches as well, so that I can connect my shoulder line. Okay, so my 15 inches stops there. So this is the extension for my 15 inches. I'm just going to square it like this, and then you can't just leave this like this, so I'm just going to connect it. You can also measure 1 inch outward here, so that I can just have like a smooth curve there. So the next thing is to work on my neckline. For the neckline I'm using a neck width of 2.75 inches. Okay, because this is actually for a big size. You can also use 3 or 2.5 depending on the size. And then for the back I'm using a neck depth of 1 inch, and then for the front it's like a V-neck. For the front I'm using a neck depth of 8 inches. Okay, so now I'm going to connect my front in form of a V shape like this, and then for the back I'm going to use my curve ruler to make a curve for the back neckline. Okay, so this is the pattern that I'm working with. I'll just cut this out. So if you want your front and back together, you just cut it on fold, so that this shoulder area is going to be on fold. This means you're not going to have any, you will not have any joining on the shoulder seam. But if you're going to have a joining, you can go ahead and make your shoulder slope. So for my shoulder slope on this point I'm going to go down by 1.5 inches. Okay, that's where my sleeve is, and then I'm going to connect that to my neck points like this. So you have to be mindful that what you have left as your round sleeve will be enough for your round sleeve. So you just need to check. My round sleeve is about 15, so that's around 7.5, which is still fine for me. So if it's not okay, you will need to add to that when you are taking your chest line measurement. So now I'll just cut out this pattern that I have, and then I'll go ahead and cut it on my fabric. Sorry, the paper keeps folding. So this is what it looks like after cutting it out. So you can go ahead and shape the hem of the blouse anyhow you want. So now I'll go and cut this on my fabric now, and then I'll bring it back to show us how to join it. So I have gone ahead to cut it. This is my front with the V neckline, and this is the back. So what I'm going to do first now is to just open it up, and then I'll go ahead and join it together on the shoulder alone, so that I can fix my collar easily. So I'm not joining the side seam yet. I'm just going to place it, and then I'm going to join the shoulder together. Then I'll bring it back to show us how to cut the collar. Okay, so for the neckline, you can see I have opened it up like this. So this is the shoulder seam. I'm going to measure round my neckline from the center front here. I'm going to measure it all the way to the back neckline, and then back to the center front. So you take this measurement carefully because you don't want it to be too small. Okay, so from here I'm going to measure again to my neckline. So I have about 24.5 inches. Okay, so now the round neckline is 24.5. So the strap that I'm going to be suspending here, I want it to be about 12 inches. Yours can be more or less. So 12 inches for each side of the body. So that's multiplied by 2, that's 24. So the 24 inches, I'm going to add it to the 24.5 that I already have for my neckline, and that's going to leave me with around 48.5. So I'm just going to approximate that to 50 inches. So I'm going to cut a long strap of 50 inches length, and then the width is going to be around 6 inches or 7 inches depending on what you want. So on fold, I'm going to have, if I'm working with 7 inches on fold, I'm going to have about 3.5 inches, and if you are working with 6 inches on fold, you are going to have 3 inches. So remember, you are still going to sew it by half an inch, so you should factor that when you are working. So I think I'm going to be working with a measurement of 50 inches by 7 inches for my collar. So I'm just going to cut one strap and one single collar that will just go around, because I want this to be as beginner friendly as possible. You can also cut them in parts. Remember, there's a notched collar here, so you can cut the upper part first and then cut the lower parts and join them together. But I'm just going to be creating my notched collar on my single strap, and I'm going to show us how we're going to do that. So I have gone ahead to cut out my strap, and this is what I have. So I have cut it out, and then it's already on fold. So the 7 inches is on fold already. So now I have it around 3.5 inches now that is on fold. So this is 3.5 inches, and then the length of the strap is the 50 inches that I measure around. So now to shape it, I'm going to put it on fold. So after putting it on fold, now this is the fold point. So this fold point now is going to be my center back. Now the first measurement I'm going to take is that area that is going to be covered with my neckline. So remember, I measured around my neckline, and then I have 24.5 inches. So now that is on fold, I'm going to divide 24.5 inches by 2. So after dividing 25.5 inches, I'm just folding my tape into 2 on that 25.5 inches mark. So I have around 12.75. So now from my center back, I'm going to measure the 12.75 here. Okay, so I have the 12.75 here. I'm just going to lift it up, and then I'm going to notch that part. So notching that part means that this from here to this place now is going to be occupied. It's going to be occupied by my neckline, and then this excess that I have here is going to be the strap that I'm going to suspend. So now for the strap, because I want the tip of the strap to be like a V shape, so here I'm going to measure. So on the open part here, not the fold point, I'm going to measure 2 inches inward here to shape it, and then from there I'm going to connect it in a vertical form like that, and then I'm just going to shape it like this. Okay, so this is how the tip of my strap is going to appear. So because I don't want it to be too wide here, I'm just going to connect it to the neckline area. So I'm just going to taper it, so you can just measure maybe 2 inches from here, and then you connect it all the way to where your neckline stops. So I'm just going to eyeball this now and bring in my scissors, and then just shape it to the hemline like this. So that's how I want it to be. If you want yours to be wide, you can leave it at it. So this is what I have now. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to create my notched collar. So for the notch collar to serve as a guide, I want to measure my back neckline alone. Okay, remember this is the front with the V and this is the back, so I'm measuring it on fold because this part is actually on fold. So after placing it on fold, now I want to measure my back neckline alone. Then measuring it, I have about 3.5 inches as my back neckline. So I'm going to sort of remove it from my total measurement because the notch area is going to be on the front. So I have 3.5 inches here. So from here to here is going to be the back. Remember, this is the center back, so this is for my back. So now you need to decide where you want to place the notch part on your front. Okay, so for the notched collar, from my shoulder at the front area, I want it to be on the 3 inches mark. Okay, so now from where my back neckline stops, you can see me measuring 3 inches. So let me bring the blouse so that I can use this to explain very well. Okay, so the first 3.5 inches that I measured was for this back neckline, which is this. Okay, I measured it on fold, and then now I want my notch collar to be from my shoulder. Remember, this is the shoulder, this is the front, this is the back. So from my shoulder, I want the notch collar to be around 3 inches from the shoulder. So you can see around here, so which is what I measured from where my back neckline stops. So I measured the 3 inches now. So for the opening, I'm going to be using about 2 inches. So this is the 2 inches. So I'll just take it to the fold point because I'm going to create the notch on these fold points. So now this is the point that I'm going to be working with. Okay, I'm trying to get a straight line. So now for the depth of the notch, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches on the midpoint of these 2 inches interval, and then from there I'm just going to create like a V shape as seen. Okay, I hope you can see what I'm doing here. So from there I'm creating a V shape, and this is going to be my notch. You can actually cut it off directly like this, or you can sew it first before you cut. Okay, so I have made the V shape mark on the other side as well. Okay, so this is for this first side and this is for the second side. So I'll just take it to the sewing machine. I'm going to open it out like this. Okay, you sew on the wrong side, and then I'll go ahead and sew on the V point. Then after sewing the V point, I'm going to sew the strap as well. So from the tip of the strap, I'll sew it up to the place that the neckline stops. So I'll do this for the two sides. So I have gone ahead to sew it. You can see my seam line, and it stops where my neckline is going to stop. So this is the notched part as well. I have sewn it. Then I'm going to cut out the V shape that I have here. I'm using a chiffon fabric which is very slippery, so that's why I'm taking my time to do this. You can pin it. So this is the other notched area, and I'm going to trim off the excess. Okay, so this is what I have now. So I'm just going to turn it now and then give it a good place. So now I'm going to turn the strap. That's the XX strap that you have here, and then you turn the notched area. So once you turn it now to the right side, you can see that your notch area is formed. So it is turned out now. You can see the two notched area. So you just notch your center back so that I can guide you, and then my strap area is also turned as well. So you just go ahead and iron this down. Then after ironing it, you bring in your main bodies, and then you sew this open part. Okay, the part that is not turned yet. Remember, we just turned the from where the neckline stopped to where the strap stopped. That was where we turned. So all this open area now is where you're going to sew round your neckline. So I'm just going to match my center back to the center back of my strap. I've notched it already, so you can pin all of these round to make this easier for you. And then I'm going to go ahead and sew the collar around the neckline. So I have sewn the collar round now. As you can see, this is the notched part of the collar. I'm here to iron it. So when you arrange it by the shoulder, you can see where the notch is falling. So you just need to bring everything out like this, and then you can see where it is. This is around 3 inches from my shoulder on the front area. So this is the first side and this is the second side. So this is the XX 12 inches strap that we have. So to hold the strap together, I have cut out like a small loop. Okay, it's about 1 inch after turning, so you have about 2 inches, and then you sew and turn it so you can see what it looks like. So I'm just going to sew it at the center points where my V neckline stops. So you sew it like this, and then on the other side you're going to sew again. So you make sure you sew it as neat as possible. So it's going to be like the hole here where you're going to just insert your strap like this. Okay, so it's going to be the hole where you're going to insert the 2 straps. So I'll go ahead now and so you can see that it has arranged the 2 straps for me. So for you, it can be as wide as you want. This length is okay for me, so that's why I left it as it is. So I have gone to sew the loop. You can see now that I tried as much as possible to sew it neatly, so that on the 2 sides you are not going to see the rough edges. So this is what it looks like. So now the next thing now is to iron it as well, and then you can tuck in your strap. Okay, you can pass your strap through it. So this is what it looks like now. So the last thing to do now is just to fold your blouse, and then you go ahead and sew it on the side, and you hem the sleeve, the round sleeve area. You sew the side, and then you hem it on the lower part, and your blouse is ready. Okay, so the blouse is ironed now, and this is what it looks like. So you can see the notched part of our collar. So I just measured my 3 inches from my shoulder points here. That's where my front starts, and that was where I made my notch pattern. So this is for the right side, and this is for the left side, and then it just comes all the way like this. So this was the loop we created so that we can pass the excess strap that we have through it. And then on the sleeve area, I created this beautiful turn up that we see here. I already have a tutorial on how you can make your turn up sleeve on the channel, so if you don't know how to do that, you can watch it. So this is what the full view of the blouse looks like. You can see how beautiful it is and how simple it is to make this. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And by the way, the collar was cut on bias, so it's easier. You can cut it in a straight form as well, but if you have enough fabric, you can just cut it on bias so that it will roll easily for you, just like we have it here. So it just goes from the front all the way to the back. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Like I said, if you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.